wanna celebrate this life forever.
Come on.
I'm living it, not dreaming it. We getting it, black luxury. I wanna celebrate this life forever.
Yeah.
I'm living it, not dreaming it. We getting it, black luxury.
A paradigm shift is occurring across the country. Justice is expediting the process of what we're becoming. Universally unified in alignment with our greatness, which lay dormant for ages, but now it has been awakened. In this dispensation, we've been repositioned for a movement, excluding the lie of being viewed as 3/5 of a human. My lineage says different. God.
What's going on, everybody?
What's up?
What's going on?
Hey, Pierre. Hey, Sedan.
How you doing, Tiff?
How y'all doing?
Doing all right. How you doing?
I'm
Great,
doing
doing great.
well. Welcome, Revolution Ready. How y'all doing out there? It's Wednesday. You know what time it is.
That's right. It's time to get this news.
It's time to get that news. It's time to tune into a great show today. I'm excited about the guest that we have. That we're gonna talk to us. Pierre, you glad about it?
I'm definitely glad about it.
you look excited, bro.
I am. We got some extravagant guests coming in today to share some knowledge with us. So I'm ready to dive in when you guys are.
I'm ready to dive in. It's some news that we can talk about. Anything that we need to put out there in the atmosphere.
It's most definitely some news we need to put in the atmosphere.
What's up?
We need to talk about Chief Morales.
Oh,
45 days.
45
45
days.
45 days.
I don't know if I like that.
45 days.
I don't know if I like how the judge just came in and said 45 days.
Yeah.
Settle or he coming back.
I think it's gonna force him to move though.
You think so?
I think it will. I mean, we don't want to really give out that money, but I feel like just pay the man and move on about our business.
Yeah, I think that's the one I would definitely chalk up our losses in money and say we'd rather just go ahead, just give it to him so he can go about his business.
Most definitely. He don't deserve to retire under that status, though. You know, he didn't deserve that, so.
I mean, but do you think that it was his fault, or was it, really the oversight of the Police and Fire Commission and making sure that they didn't leave any wiggle room for him to be able to come back?
I think they work together. So, oh, yeah, look, we'll do it like this. The whole thing will blow over. You'll come out on top.
No, but you got to take it a step back and just show the incompetence of everything.
Yeah.
A couple months ago, they had 3 people they was trying to get to be
Three
the chief.
people.
And so this was still in the wings. They knew this was coming. So it just let you know, it cut their legs from underneath them. So either somebody is incompetent or they don't know what they're doing. Or like Brother Smith said, they all in this together. So it's something that just doesn't sound right from the beginning. Because if you know what you're doing, you can't come back like that. Because one thing I know about this, if you own a company, you understand about that money. If you own a business, you understand about your money. Even if you're a manager or supervisor. So you're not going to put yourself in what you just said, Pierre, where we got to bag this money right here and say we're going to do this just a loss. The only time you see that is in professional sports where they say, you know what, go ahead, pay this man $3 million a year for the next 2 years. We're going to bring another one in because they got money like that. But who taking the loss for this? This is us. This is taxpayers' dollar. So it's like the people who we got that's supposed to be watching over us is telling us they don't know what they're doing. They incompetent or they in cahoots with them. So the whole thing is messed up. And he wasn't really the greatest. Let's be absolutely honest. That's why they wanted him removed in the first place. Right. I was never in this job, so I'm not going to hate on him to the 10th degree. But everything I know about him, it was lackluster. Let's just be honest. And so now you got a person who coming back in a community where it's already hot, and he going to be your leader. What kind of division that's going to cause within the police department itself? It's like this judge is doing stuff that's going to create even more animosity. If you got division within that blue wall, that's going to trickle down on the streets because all the frustration, depression they got, who they letting it out on? So it's a lot of things to think about on that one. That's a big onion to peel.
Y'all hear that hot fire, y'all? That's coming from
I
our
need one of them.
That's coming from our guest.
Sound effects right
He
there.
just come on.
I'm going to set up to let y'all do it. It's just y'all saying this something. I can't help but
They need
speak
to hear
on
that.
this,
They
man.
need to hear that. Go ahead and let them know who you is coming with that fire.
Yes,
Exactly.
sir. Yes, sir. Dr. Smith, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
No, you know what, man? I'm just a little kid that grew up on 7th and Melvina. You know what I'm saying? Grew up in these streets of Milwaukee all the way down. Moved down, up and down, 53206 to 53216 to 53212. Went to Rufus King, Green Bay Avenue. Born in the city, raised in the city, got a chance to go ahead, do a couple of things. Did graduate from UW Whitewater, then ended up graduating from UW Milwaukee with my PhD. Had a chance to work at NPS. That's always good. That's where the system I grew up in. So I taught there, worked there as a school psychologist. Then I actually worked in the Department of Corrections for 5 years, which absolutely is like one of them beautiful things, but not beautiful things. It was beautiful because I got to be with my people, be able to spread some knowledge, give some love. But you look in there and you say, hey, this ain't how it's supposed to be. Like, why are so many of us in here? You get to see all of those stats real close. So I ended up going to Children's Hospital after that. I said, let me do some stuff on the front end. Worked in the trauma department.
Oh, that's
for the children. Yeah, I did that for 7 years. So worked in conjunction with CPS in the trauma department. Again, a beautiful thing because you get to be there for these young children, physically abused, emotionally abused, sexually abused. But then it's again like, man, this is that circle. Yeah. So from working in NPS, working in the prison, working at Children's Hospital, you see that cycle we talk about. Because the same cats that I saw in prison, guess what? These was their children now that was in CPS because they were staying with their grandma. They were staying with their moms. And then the boyfriend came in. It was like that. And you see that cycle. And you be like, man, what can you do? So afterwards, I started my own business, worked for the Bucks. So you thinking, okay, now, man, I'm in fantasy land. You know what it is? They still got problems. It don't matter if you're a millionaire, if you're a billionaire, especially if you got problems when you're young. Those things just don't leave. So the question is, well, what do we do? So right now, I do my own business, Blacksmith Consulting. So what I get a chance to do is I write curriculum for schools. I write curriculum for the Department of Corrections. I do contract work with the Wisconsin Badgers, so I still work with athletes and that nature. Do some work with Nike, with the NFL. So it's like I still get a chance to put my hand in a couple different pots. But at the end of the day, I'm always back in the city trying to do things for the community. Most people know me, my man, talking about my Q-Dog stuff. Our house right on 2nd and Center. So, we right there in the midst of the community doing everything we can to show love, to make sure we give it back in that way. Shout out to the Qs. We got to get that love.
Shout out to the Divine, all the Divine.
Shout out to everybody who tried to do something for real. Real talk. But no, that's just me and the short. You see my shorties back there. I got my twins. They just turned. They turned 12 in January, so they going through manhood training now.
That's right.
So every day from 5:37, you talk about building curriculum. You got to start at home. That's right. I got them right here. This is usually the time, so they here with me doing what I do.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah.
I follow that same tactic,
Yes, sir.
My son, he actually they got him back in Boys and Girls.
Yeah.
So now since that's open, that's where he at. So after this, that's where I'm going.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. So y'all, if y'all not ready for this conversation, I don't know what y'all not ready for. Y'all should get ready because all of what Dr. Smith just talked about himself and what he's been able to do and accomplish. And drawing back into and pouring into community and pouring back into people is exactly what we're all about. And so I think let's just go ahead and just dive right in.
Let's talk
about some of these issues. So I follow Dr. Smith, everything he do. I'm always reading something that he's doing, something he's talking about. And so he shared with us an op-ed that he wrote to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, giving an opinion piece about, the Derek Chauvin verdict and everything that has come with that. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the Journal-Sentinel reached out to me. They said they wanted some people to kind of talk about like what's been experienced for the past year, what was the things from the George Floyd murder case, and so I think sometimes they expect you to write these flowery things like, oh man, we finally got justice and whatnot. I was like, it's a duality in America that exists, and anybody who's not willing to admit that is not being honest. They're only seeing part of it because it is a beautiful side to America. It's a beautiful side. You look at Milwaukee, you go downtown, man, it look beautiful. Then you just go 10 blocks away, and you're like, damn. I tell people when they come to Milwaukee, I say, you want me to show you Milwaukee? Take them to North Avenue. We start off at the lake. We go down to the lake. They're like, oh, man, this is beautiful. Then we get a little bit more. They get a little bit tense. We looking like, I was like, no, these are people. Don't be worried about it. We're going to go. Right. But then we go a little bit further. You got more of a, like you get into, the Jewish community around Sherman and whatnot like that. You go up a little bit more. Then you start to get into Wauwatosa. So you start to get into Brookfield. Now, this all North Avenue, but that's what that is to Milwaukee. That's what America is. You got a beautiful side and a not so beautiful side. And sadly, most of our people don't get a chance to experience all of the beautiful sides. And they do. It's somebody who had to be crazy resilient. Somebody had to be super powerful. Somebody who had to overcome crazy odds where you'd be like, well, everybody can't do that, but if you give everybody the same choices, maybe they could. But getting to the article, so the point is, well, were we supposed to be excited over this case? Right. Were we supposed to be so excited over this verdict? I said, I can't be. I was like, it shouldn't have took but 9 minutes and 29 seconds for them to see, hey, that this dude did this, and we supposed to be happy. I said, but you still have people. We had people from Milwaukee testifying in the case. Remember
the medical examiner.
So he talking about carbon monoxide. All they talking about drugs. All they talking about is heart. They talking about pre-existing medical conditions. I'm thinking like, wow. And then after the verdict came out, you still had a whole half of the country who was like, this dude was innocent. Like this, he shouldn't have did that. And then when we see what's going on now, like what just happened in North Carolina, you say we ain't learned nothing. So how can you get excited over that when that's not a case that's saying, oh, this was the precedent case. It turned everything around. So what I told him is, it's just like this. I mean, think about what's going on in the Middle East right now with the Palestinians and the Israelites. And for those who are not really hip to it, Palestine had all this land. Then these other people started coming in, the Jews. And so they say, hey, you know what? This was our promised land. They was like, no, this is our land. That was promised to you a long time ago.
Yeah.
They still came in. So slowly but surely, they started taking over the land. So the UN had to step in. They say, listen, okay, we're going to cut this up. You got this part, this part, this part. Y'all got this part. Cool. But the Israelites, and people might say I'm anti-Semitic, which I'm not, but what happened is they kept taking more and more of the land because they thought it was there. Now you got the Palestinians who want to fight back. And they're like, oh, these guys are terrorists, they're thugs, they're all of this. But they said, all we doing is what we call self-defense. All we doing is protecting what's ours. Y'all trying to occupy us. So now they shooting rockets. I mean, like rockets you get out of Walmart, you know, and doing damage. They doing whatever they can. But I said, what you think gonna happen in America? I said, you keep pressing the people down. And my man Langston Hughes, I mean, I quoted in the poem, he said, you know, Negroes, meek, docile, sweet, and kind, beware the day they change their mind. And it's like, it's only so much of people can take. And it's like, you keep pressing the people down in the face of adversity. And you say, well, then what do we do?
They're going to fight back.
And my thing is this. Are you saying, hey, man, let's go out, let's have a revolution? Well, we can't. Let's be honest right now because we don't got the numbers. Because I always say people be hating on Minister Farrakhan. But I said, man, if Minister Farrakhan wanted to tear America up, this man got a nation behind him. It's a mosque in every major city. You know what I'm saying? And every state. And if he get a word, they gonna go. So when they be hating on Farrakhan, I said, man, this probably y'all best friend, because if he wanted to set it off, think about y'all a little young, but you go back to October 16, 1995, when he had the Million Man March, that's when they started shutting him down, because before, Farrakhan would be on TV all the time, you know, because he was that man. He was articulate. He was charismatic. They was like, oh, he getting too much power. We got to shut him down. So if you notice, anybody who black and who got power, the first thing they say is, will you denounce Farrakhan? Because they know if you denounce Farrakhan, what you done do is kind of weaken him some more. But what I'm saying is, if it's not Farrakhan, it's going to be somebody else who rise up. And we think about where we at right now in the Sherman Phoenix. Why did that night happen? People was like, F this, like enough is enough. And then it goes to that point. Now, because they know that they got heavier artillery, heavier numbers, it's a bully concept. But it's going to come a time where it's many ways to fight a war. Every revolution ain't got to be with guns to be effective. And so what I said in the article basically is this. Even Thomas Jefferson, one of their founding fathers, he said, I tremble when I think that God is just and that his anger can't last forever. It's only so long that this can happen. So what I was saying is like, listen, white America, listen to anybody who wants to be on the side of the oppressor, those colonizers. If you don't start to make things a little bit easier, all of this self-destruct, and it's not even like I'm a prophet, but you look at any great society. Look at the Roman emperors. Look at the even. You go to Egypt. You look at the pharaohs of Egypt. You go to czars of Russia. You go to the emperors of let's say the Roman emperors. All of these great empires they never thought could fall. Right. But what happened? They got greedy. They wanted more and more and more. They kept oppressing the people until the people who they was oppressed eventually rose up. But the only scary thing about that is this. Egypt didn't have atomic bombs. You think that Nero, you think Caligula, if they had nuclear weaponry, they would have let Rome go down without letting everything else go down? The scary part about this now is America has nuclear capacity. So if they go down, what you think happens? And, you know, people be thinking, oh, we can't have an apocalypse. We can't have this kind of, you know, you look at movies like The Book of Eli and the end of days, you'd be like, oh, man, that's a movie.
No.
We ain't as far as that from what people think. And I tell people, you just 1 second away from the right or the wrong firecracker being lit for all of this to come down. That's what my warning was. Like, hey, listen, DMX, man, that's my guy. Rest in peace to X. Yeah. But he was like, he said, y'all been eating long enough. Stop being greedy.
That's right.
Keep it real,
That's
partner.
right.
Give to the needy.
That's right.
Ribs touching, don't make me wait, or I'm gonna fuck around and bite you and snatch the plate. And that's what's about to happen.
Yeah.
We just got it off.
And it's funny that you said that because, well, not funny, ironic that you said that you made the correlation between, how America treats people who they deem to have too much power.
Oh, come on.
And today being the heavenly birthday of Malcolm X, and, how he was treated during his time, and, them not recognizing he had a lot of power and wanting to silence that power. And it is always the individuals who they feel threatened or intimidated by, and they know that they can rally the troops, they can rally up a nation, they can rally up people. Because when we get together, what do we do? We create a mighty storm. And so,
But Tiffany, Pete, what you just
rest
said,
in peace to Malcolm X.
Because that's brilliant what you just said. Because what did they all of the years growing up? I'm thinking the Nation of Islam killed Malcolm X. Now, obviously, he had the division with them, but they used that as a way. That's the CIA, the FBI, and it's all been proven. I mean, it's all in the documents now that they was all in there, and they came in. So when they see somebody is powerful, they be like, hold on, I tell you, they got 4 ways to get you if you're too powerful. Mm-hmm. The first thing they come get you is they offer you that bag. Mm-hmm. Go on, get this title. Go on, elevate to this status. You ain't really one of them.
Yeah.
Go on, get this. Mm-hmm. And so you say, oh, well, let's calm down. Let's think about this. This ain't so bad. So you sell out. That's the first one. Second thing is this: if you got something good about you, they get them bones out your closet. Mm-hmm. They say, listen, either you gonna shut up or we gonna expose you with this. We gonna let this business know. That's and right. Now if you got them bones, but you got the bag back. Say, hold on, okay, man, we ain't got to go there. So you wonder why people be quiet. It's like, oh, because it's there. Now the third thing, what they do is this: is they say, oh, you know what? Where your mama live? Oh, your mama live. Oh, I just heard you saying you on 7th and Melvina. Oh, your grandmama still over there? Are your people still there? Oh, what if we put your brother in jail because we got this case on him here? They put this other type of pressure on you. Mm-hmm. Now, if that don't work, they just outright say, we'll lie on you. Mm-hmm. We'll lie on you. What happened with those lies? One or two things. Either we're going to put you in jail. Think about how many revolutionaries are still sitting in jail now from the Black Panther era. That's untouched because of different lies. Think about how many people sitting up in the pen for reasons we don't know. Well, they just straight out kill you. We talk about Malcolm X. We talk about Martin Luther King. We talk about Medgar Evers. We talk about Fred Hampton. You think about any of these men and women that we revere from times of history when they say we ain't shutting up, we ain't selling out. Say what you say, do what you do. I'm moving on. We got a way to deal with you.
Yeah.
And so that's why a lot of people have been afraid to leave because they don't want that. You start thinking, oh, man, I got my twins. Oh, I got my son. Oh, my mama. You thinking about these things. But if you notice, the people who we revere are the people who willing to give everything. Yeah. And if you willing to give everything, you dangerous. I'm dating myself again, but one of my favorite movies is Menace to Society. And with Old Dog, he said, I'm America's worst nightmare. I'm young. I don't care. I ain't got nothing to lose. And when you get that kind of mentality, but then you put it with some common sense and a love for the people, or you become dangerous. Yeah. Wow. That's martyr territory. That's right.
I mean, that sound like me. I've been shot 3 times. I got a little, history where I bumped my head a couple times, and now it's just like since I lost my brother. I mean, I got a reason to, be positive. I felt like he shouldn't have died for nothing. So every day I try to make sure I keep his legacy alive, doing something I never did. So most definitely that sounded like me. And I was gonna wear a Menace to Society hat too. Y'all know I got that hat with Low Dog on it. The front of the back of it say 1996. Yeah,
that's what's up.
Yeah, I was gonna wear the hat, but yeah, man. After saying all of that, man, I want to ask you a question though.
Yeah, what's up?
So, after seeing George Floyd, and the jury and everything after that, the reaction and everything. How do you feel time is placed now for the revolution? Like, do you feel like this would be the time that it should be like, not only even if it's not the time to strike, but for all those people that are woke? Yeah. Now, is it moving the movement a little forward to, that actual, change we need in a rebellious way?
So this is what we say. You watch football. and it's a quarterback. He want to throw the ball. They say, oh, man, it's a small window. Can he get it in? Because it's only a small time you got to get that ball in before the D-backs come, before the linebackers get through. And it's a special time. So if you go into Greek culture, they talk about time. So they got what they call chronos. That's like you look at your time. Hey, you late, man. It's 5:15. Where you at? That's one way to categorize time. The second time that we look at is what we call kairos. And kairos is it's a special moment. It ain't time that we can put on the clock, but you be like, the moment is right. You know, if we go break it down, like you see that girl you want to talk to, you be like, man, I ain't gonna never have a better time. This is it right here. We both right here. This is the time. You talk about school. Hey man, you know what, man? They about to give me the scholarship, man. If I don't leave right now, this probably gonna be my last time. It's what we call this kairos. It's the time is right. And you think about, look at the 68, look at 67, 68, 69 with the civil rights. It was a special time. Everybody was coming together. The movement was there. Special things happened. It died down. But to your point, we got that window right now because everybody is right. You think about after the pandemic, we had everybody out here fighting in these streets for a minute. And it was something special going on. You was like, oh, I ain't synced it like this before. People was mad before. We had did some things to kind of shake up the system, but it was something that was just a little different. Then when them cats on January 6th went into the White House,
Changed the game.
that let you know, oh, you know what? They understand it too. So to your point, yeah, it's that time. But if we don't capitalize on it, guess what happened? That window closes, the opportunity's gone, we go back to the status quo. And that's what the status quo wants. So when they see those moments going, why you think they opening this stuff back up? Because what happened is when everybody was locked down, well, it's the money too, let's be honest, it's capitalist. But when everybody was locked down, everybody was going crazy. I got to fight something. I got to do something. So you know what they started doing? I ain't fighting my brother. I'm going to fight injustice. And then they was like, oh, snap, we can't have this because the people are coming together as one. So what we got to break this back up. We got to put people back in their own states where they feel comfortable. And so instead of everybody coming out because there ain't nothing to do to meet up for a march, let's open up Brookfield Mall. Let's open up Mayfair. Let's open up the Bucks. Let's open up. That's all of the beautiful distractions that come. So to your point, the moment is slipping away. And if we don't take advantage of it, we're going to have some people who want to do it, but it don't matter if you got the soldiers, but you don't got the strategy. That's the art of war. Time is everything.
That's definitely.
So speaking of like strategy, what do you think are some ways to go about making sure that we're leveraging this moment and not letting it slip away and making sure that we are organized and we're focused and being able to meet the goal?
Yeah, you know what? And this is what I tell people because, like, when I was younger, I was like, let's burn all this shit up. let's. But the thing of, as you get older, you recognize like an eye for eye really do leave everybody blind. That don't help anything.
Yeah.
So you say, okay, it's a time for everything. Now, don't get me wrong, but it's so many arms that we have to do. So what we have to do is check it. How do we get everybody united? So how you talk about the money before? How do we unite our dollars? How do we boycott? Martin Luther King was the most hated man in America, but he was really just an annoyance. They wanted to ride the bus. Okay, nigga, you can have the bus. Get on the bus. Oh, you want to march, go bus. But when he said, hey, we about to boycott Coca-Cola. We going to redistribute the paint. This nigga got to go. Because now you messing with the church's money.
Yeah.
And so to your point, you said, how do we unite? What do we got to do is to recognize, how do you hurt America? America's not a country, it's a corporation. So how do you hurt a corporation? By the bottom line, by the dollars. If you don't give us what we need, we're not going to give you what you need as far as that. But now the question is, can we unite together to be able to have a sustained boycott like they did in Selma, to be able to say, oh, I'm not going to shop at Amazon. Oh, I'm not going to shop here. Because what do? We give in because of comfort and conveniences. All of us who talk revolutionary, we counterproductive to our own goals sometimes because we buy into that same stuff. So then you got to do it from that standpoint. But now you got to have a political arm. You got some soldiers who inside other areas, whether it be aldermen, whether it be on a national level from the House of Representatives, the senator, you put that pressure up on them. Say, how do we leverage them to be able to start to change the law, to change some rules, things of that nature? We go into the schools. How do we change the curriculum? How do we change the policy? So what I'm saying is, it's not one avenue to do it. You have to do it in every specific way that affects our community. But if it doesn't affect the bottom line of that dollar, it really ain't gonna move. Now think about the NBA. When the Bucks said, hey, we ain't playing. Now when the WNBA do something, they like, y'all ain't making no money, it don't matter. But when they did that in the playoffs, think about how many people came in and said, now y'all need to play. Okay, you made your point. We're gonna throw some money here. We're gonna throw some money here. But y'all come on, get back on this court.
Yeah.
Now just imagine if they would have said, no, we ain't playing. Because at that time, you talk about moments, the Brewers didn't play. National Hockey League ain't got but a handful of black people. they ain't play.
They didn't
Yeah.
play.
It was that scared the
Tennis
mess
didn't
out
play.
of them.
Nobody played.
Now, what if they could have sustained that move and said, "We ain't moving until this happened"?
Yeah.
How many people gonna do that?
Right.
So to the point is, you said before we can strategize and move, we got to know who's really's down, and then the people who are down, are they willing to sacrifice and give everything, even to the point where it could be your very life, or if it's not your life. I tell people when I say I'm willing to die for my cause, it don't mean like I got to get shot, but am I willing not to get this job? Am I willing not to get this contract?
right.
Am I willing
That's
not to
right.
be able
That's
to move
right.
around
Yeah.
and do that, or to be able to have some of the other things that from a material standpoint you might want? And I say, okay, well, what am I willing to sacrifice? And if I'm not willing to sacrifice, I can't say I'm a revolutionary. So to your point, you got to have who are the true revolutionaries, put them in every strategic place, and then once they come together, that's when you can create chaos in the system.
Yeah.
Regimes fall all the time, but they only fall because of the people, and the people are united. They got a plan.
That's a great answer right there. And the people out there that's listening, y'all need to understand that if it's your calling right now to be a revolutionary,
Exactly.
if you have became an activist in the the death of George Floyd, the Breonna Taylor cases, whatever it was that called you to the streets, don't just claim the name, do the work.
And H. Rap Brown used to say all the time, he said, every revolutionary ain't got to look the same. Everybody ain't going to be out with a megaphone. Everybody ain't got that gift. Everybody ain't got that heart. But guess what? You could be up in your corporation doing some things you don't know. You look at like the revolution of Haiti, 1804. You look at the way everybody played their role. You had the people cooking the food. Well, you know what they did? They knew the herbs and the plant that was poisonous. They knew how to kill you here. Then they had people who were the ladies who knew how to come in and get those secrets from the bedtime thing. I mean, when you talk about the art of war, it's a real strategy. So you say, how do you pull everybody into every situation, use everything that's gifted? What's happened is, and this is one of the things I love about Islam, they always talk about that the first teacher is the mother. But they say what you have to do is then have a knowledge of self. We've gotten so far away from knowing who we are, being Americanized. We like, we black American. Even when I go out the country, it hurts my heart. But I have to admit, I'd be like, man, I'm more American than I want to admit.
Yeah.
Because you go to places, you be like, oh, this ain't like how it is back home.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this ain't even
Yeah.
home, because this is what it is. But it's something in me saying, but this ain't home. It's like you adopted and you in this place, you're accustomed, but it's something here that gravitates to you. And you could get rid of some of this excessive stuff, especially like materialism, consumption. Oh, you get to open up a beautiful part of your heart, and you get to see certain things. And so once you get to knowing who you are, now that makes you say, okay, once I know who I am, I know my lane. You know what? I'm a reader. I'm a poet. So you think about somebody. Me and my boys was watching One Night in Miami. Afterwards, they were singing Sam Cooke. Change gonna come. Now they didn't know nothing about it, but once you start to see, man, how this song developed, why he thought about it, like, man, I could be doing more for the movement. I'm just a singer. What do I do? They still playing that song. Right now, because it is, I was born by the river. I mean, it hit you as soon as you hit it. So whatever your lane is, just do it to the best of the ability to move the motion. So when we talk about you a revolutionary, everybody is a revolutionary. Just do it in a way in which you feel comfortable. If I try to be Tiffany, I'm at the very best, I'm gonna be the second best Tiffany. But if I try to be Kwaku, then I can roll like I want to roll. I can move where I want to move.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I just
This radio is I mean, that's what y'all call it, revolutionary.
Yeah.
Because you give the
Revolutionary.
knowledge to people in different ways. Hey,
Yeah.
look, sometimes we're gonna have some fun, we're gonna put some stuff in it, but we also gonna sprinkle some knowledge in
That's
this right
right.
here.
All day, every day.
And I just had a conversation the other day with a gentleman
So why?
in the revolution, and we were talking
I'll go get
about as far as playing roles that
Yeah.
you need to not be able to be scared to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, once you get to those positions of power, you feel like, you know what, I made it. So it really worth it. You know what I mean? Jeopardizing everything that I worked so hard for a moment. You know what I mean? And I don't want those type of people around me that you feel like you gotta, if you're gonna represent, you're only gonna represent for that moment. No, you need to represent all the time. This has to be who you really are. You know what I mean?
You got to live it. If you don't love it, when it get tough, you're gonna run away.
Yeah.
So that's why I said you got to be true to who you are. Everybody don't got the same calling, but if you walk in your calling, man, it's like the body. And I don't care if you go from a biblical standpoint, you go from a Quran standpoint. It always talking about the unification of the body. Right now, my thumb, I can't bend it back. Man, this affects my whole body. because of what I can't do with this thumb that I used to could do. So somebody think I'm just this, like what can I, that right there is absolutely the ingredient that we missing. So like to your point in that window is people understanding what I am. But this goes to the point, like I told you, I got my boy. What I'm trying to do is show them what their gifts are.
Yeah.
They twins, identical twins. But guess what? They ain't the same.
Yeah.
So I got to show each one how they beautiful, each one how they powerful, each one how they blessed to do this. And so as my parent, what I'm looking to see, what do they do naturally? Not what I want them to do, but what do they do that they love to do? I ain't got to force them to do because they do this all day. So if they love to do this all day, how do I fix this where it can make you money, it can give you purpose, and it can help your community? And once we can put all those together, if we do that with all our babies, just think of how powerful we is. Now, just saying this, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Why do you think they give us public school for free? Because that's where they go to dumb you down, go to take away your creativity, go to take away all your hopes and your dreams, and they make sure that you don't become what you're supposed to be. Yeah. And people say, well, you ever watched the documentary on Nas?
Yeah. Yep.
Nas, what Nas' daddy tell him and his son and his brother? He said, drop out of school. He said, man, they killing you. The parents like, oh, don't tell them babies to drop out of school. But he said, no, I told them not to go there because they don't love you. They don't care about you. They killing you. He said, but you know what you are? He said, y'all businessmen, y'all entrepreneurs. You got a house full of books. They talked about the bookshelf he had. You ain't getting none of that knowledge in school. He knew that Nas was an artist. He said, man, work on your craft day and night. They say it takes 10,000 hours, 5 years to become a genius at something. So not just think about this time we take at school. If you're not in school being worn down, but you're doing what you do, you see cats in the studio, and them cats will be in there 7 days in a row, don't even know they're in there 7 days because they doing what they love to do. Now just imagine if what you love to do is not only productive and financially rewarding for you, but it builds the community too. So this is the thing now, getting people to find out what they great at. And once you find out what you're great at, then what you say, you can't be afraid to lose it, because what we can't think about is we so I focused. What you get, I got a degree, he got this. No, we got a degree. If I'm a doctor, guess what? Everybody on my block, y'all doctors now too. Because guess what? I'm bringing all of that here. So whatever knowledge I got, that's what Revolutionary Radio is. If I got it, my community got it. So whatever knowledge I got, guess what? Y'all got it too. And if you give me what you got, I give you what I got. How powerful are we?
Right.
So when we talking about revolutionary, man, you from being an engineer, from being a host and whatnot like that going on, that's what we got to be able to build together. I don't know nothing about no computers. I know how to type on it and whatnot, but it's somebody who's intricate in IT that's going to become valuable for us to need. Now that's the cat that everybody look at and say, oh, he's unassuming. Oh, we ain't got nothing to worry about him. Appreciate you, brother, because we need you up in there. We need you, sister. Right. Look at my young lady just brought us the water. Well, we got to start thinking about who is really on your team. And we've gotten into this false thing of knowing who our allies or who we think our people should be. You got to recognize who really on your team, who down for the team. And so many times we eliminate people because they look a certain way or they ain't from a certain place. Well, sometimes those are the most downest people in the world. And, you look at somebody like a John Brown, from times of antiquity. There's a white man who Frederick Douglass was like, I can't kick it with him. He's like, he too radical. Frederick Douglass. And what happened? He ended up getting killed, just like Nat Turner. But what? Because he was like, man, slavery, he said, I tried to. He was a preacher. He was like, I tried to do this right. He said, but America don't understand nothing but bloodshed. So this is what we got to do. So he got some other cats just like him, tried to. Like most revolts, they didn't succeed the way they wanted to, but his name still went down in legacy. Why? Because he was like, I'm fighting for this in a different type of way. And it's sort of like you. When tragedy sometimes hits you personally, now it become personal. The question is, how can we get that intensity? How can we get that passion before it come on your doorstep? And that goes to the we. If I feel like you, my sister, when they mess with you, then it's just like it was my sister that came up my mama womb. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
You good. Because you bring, I had these other questions, but I'm thinking all these other questions is coming out now. Because I think about, it's a quote that I always use about, be careful who you let on the ship, because some people...
collaborators.
They will sink the ship because they can't be the captain of the ship.
Oh, come on.
And so, and speaking of that, I think people, and I'm just being honest, transparent, and, Black community, it's oftentimes you want to be able to pour into somebody else and you see their craft and you want to build that up. But oftentimes you afraid of doing that because you don't know if Sudan is going to come and try to take what I got, because we haven't been used to having. We've been conditioned not to have. And so when we do get it, then it's like Pierre was saying, like, we don't want it to be taken away, so we try to be territorial and keep hold on to it. So how do we condition ourselves out of that mindset as a people? Because I look at other races, they don't care about helping each other out.
And it's crazy you said that too, because they be like, okay, like right now, it's crazy you said it because, you know, sometimes people would be like, well, like if you go to college, oh, he ain't black enough. Like, what is black enough?
You're right.
We compete at being what we are, and it makes no sense.
And I think,
but that's a condition of the oppression. That's what you got to see. Other people are taught to love each other within their communities, within their villages. Say, this is what we do. And so this is the craziest thing. So I got a chance to go to Ghana. And when I went to Ghana, it was like one of them kind of like you get slapped in the face, life, like reaffirming type situations. And what I started to recognize is how much was taken away from me. Because when I go over there, I was like, man, this ain't like it's here. I ain't saying it's perfect. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But I'm like, man, I could tell like what I was missing, what was taken away from me. And one of those things you start to go about is you say, hey, what if we were all taught to love each other? But you say we was. But what did they teach us in the 60s when we did that? That's when they infiltrated us with drugs. That's when they would get somebody who looked like you, but had a case and say, hey, if you do A, B, and C, ain't that how they got Fred Hampton? Even with Malcolm X, the guy who was there was a Confederate. And so you think about all of these things. It's like we've been trained to be divided against each other because when we were united, they saw how powerful it was. But this is the thing, and it's going to sound a little contradictory to what I just said, but America, what the founding fathers put together, was actually a beautiful thing. The only bad thing about it was they didn't really mean it for everybody. So they lied with what they said. They was like, "Oh man, I created equal," but they meant all rich white men.
Yeah.
But if America was really true, I mean really true to what it said, how powerful would this be? Everybody come, bring me your poor, bring me your starving, bring me your hurt. We're gonna come together. You can be your own, but yet we're gonna still be one. He pluribus unum. Out of many comes one. And that's really what we're supposed to be as a people, humanity. Biologically, there is no race. No such thing, black, white, Asian, whatnot. That's a social construct. So if you get people at the essence back to humanity, that can be. And that's why people say, I'm willing to fight for the dream and the hope of America. Can we get to that? But to do that, you got to get rid of the greedy people, the people who don't want America to be really America, who want it to still be for the upper crust and elite. But that goes back to your thing. So what do we got to do? We got to destroy the people who could create the real America.
Yeah.
And with us, you think about everything that black people been through. You know, we talk about it's a social construct. We call it that. But who could be stolen from their homeland or from the people who was already here, the indigenous people, enslaved, taking away culture, taking away name, then yet still overcome.
Yeah.
Now think about this. You think about the civil rights.
Love.
Think about how bad the civil rights were. After the civil rights, 1865, okay, so by paper, Emancipation Proclamation, they was like, oh shit. These people who was just enslaved, they senators now, they congressmen, they teaching their people, they learning. They was doing all the work before, so they the skilled people. We was like, uh-oh. So why you think came? They said, we got to do something. So Jim Crow came in 1899. It was like, we got to slow this train back. Even with Jim Crow, we was still doing stuff. So they had to go even harder. So what you say, why do we do it? We've been taught by nature to be divisive.
Yeah.
And it's almost about a self-survival where we're really being together will create our survival, but they've given us the false notion that you got to look out for yours. I'm looking out for my here. This is my son. You come here. You even look at when they see us. Now, you got these young brothers in Central Park who've been falsely accused, but what was them parents saying? I'm going to get my son. I'm going to make sure you taken care of. Everybody got their own different lawyer because it was like, hey, I'm sorry, this is a bad situation for everybody. But even when we going down together, it's still that individual thing. Until we can get back, and that's what I was saying when I got to Ghana, it was like I felt a different unity that I never felt before. But it wasn't just for black people, because it's a sign on one of those, I don't even like to say slave castles, but one of the human trafficker sites that they had. It said, what happened here was a misfortune to all humanity. And if you see this, you got to know that this can never happen to anybody. So I talk about Palestinian. They say, well, why are you talking about Palestinians? That ain't got nothing to do. No, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And if we can get what you said the key word, and yet we still love. So if we can get that love with every place right there, man, just think about how beautiful things could be. It would be, people would like to say, "Oh, socialism is bad" and stuff like that. But no, really, that's just making sure everybody got
what
everything.
they need.
Capitalism is not bad. Communism is not bad. Socialism is not bad. But when you got bad people running it, socialism can be bad.
That's
Capitalism
right.
can be
That's
bad.
right.
But if you got good, wholesome people who really doing stuff that's fair, any of the systems can work. But it's the only thing is you have inherently evil people who's running it, and they know to keep this. What they got to do is we got to keep it divisive. That's where Fred Hampton was a genius. Why they had to kill him, because he got the poor white people together. He got the Latinx people together.
Yep.
He's getting the LGBTQ people. He was getting everybody. He's like, how you getting all these people together? Because he was pro-black. He was black as can be.
That's right.
But he's like, listen, we got a common goal. We got to come front. We
white
fighting each
supremacy.
other. It's the proletariat. We got to fight against the man. What I loved about him, he said, I'm not replacing capitalism with black capitalism. So if you're a black man, but you really want to be what America said, you got to go too. They couldn't have that kind of talk. So what we got to do is, to your point, is like, how do we get the revolutionaries to go there and say, you know what, this is what we gonna get, or I'm willing to die for it.
That's right.
I tell my boys, I said, you're not afraid of death. If we get killed, we're gonna get killed. We're not gonna do something stupid. We're not provoking death. Police come to me, I'm gonna be polite, I'm gonna be respectful, but I don't teach them to go out of that way. Like they say, this is the talk you have. When the police come, put your hand on the steering wheel. You be a man. You do what you're supposed to do. You do what you're supposed to do, because if they gonna get me, they gonna get me anyway. I'm not gonna disrespect you, but I'm not cowing down. We always talk about like our ancestors, because we didn't understand. They was like, boy, if I was in the South, I couldn't have seen no white boy who was 20 years younger than me put my head down, say, yes, sir. But that was what you had to do.
Yeah.
But it took an Emmett Till. It took other different things happening where people said, no, I ain't doing this no more. If you're going to get me, you just going to get me.
Right.
What I teach them to do, be a man. This is what we doing. We're going to be respectful. We're going to be polite. But I'm not going out of my way to make you feel comfortable. When my tax dollars is making you serve me, you're going to respect me in the same manner. You look at the brother, Afro-Latino brother who was a military man. I can't remember his name right now. Police still want to get he in uniform. Now, he being polite. He telling them everything. But yet they still abused him. And it's like
the sergeant.
The sergeant. I can't think of his name.
Virginia.
But with that being said, it's like I'm not going through that. I'm not going to go out my way to be obnoxious to him, to give them a reason.
Yeah.
But what I'm telling them and what I'm telling all of us, what we got to do is say we got to take it a step ahead for the next generation. The reason why we are at is because what our ancestors did and was willing to do. You look just back at them tapes in the late 60s. Think about you taking your son out for a march, knowing dogs is coming out, knowing fire hoses is out. Think about like why do we respect
John Lewis.
you knew where I was going. I was trying to think of
Congress
the
for John
bridge.
Lewis.
It was up on it because we saw them get beat, run over by the people who were supposed to protect them. And then you know what happened? We said, oh, no, we ain't going for this. You got to kill me too. But now we all locked down. We stronger together.
That's right.
And so what our generation got to do is, how are we going to make it better for the next generation? So the stuff we going through, they be like, man, I can't believe my ancestors had to go through that. Man, I don't know if I could have did that, because we didn't sacrifice so much that they got it better. That's what we got to be willing to do. In Africa, it's a proverb that says, you must plant a tree from which you will never feel the shade. So that means we got to do something, create something that we ain't gonna never feel like if you built the Sherman Phoenix and died the day before it opened, you'd be like, but it's something there. It's a legacy. So we got to say, what am I building? What am I creating that when I'm gone, people can say, I'm glad Kwaku was here. I'm glad Pierre was here. I'm glad Sedan was here. I'm glad Tiffany was here, because they created this right here, knowing they weren't gonna get to enjoy it, but they did it for us. Yeah. And once we get to us, that's the we, not the me. Because you're thinking about something bigger than yourself.
And I always say that too. I always say a tree is here today because somebody planted it. The other day, 25 years ago or something. It's always the hard work of somebody else, but it's always to benefit the people.
That's right. That's right.
We all got to be a Moses in a sense.
Ooh,
get the people to the promised land. We might not get there, but that's why I love King.
Yeah.
He said, I might not get there with you. He had 4 little babies.
Yeah.
He died at 39. I think from 26 to 39, the prime of his life, man.
Right.
He gave that all for us.
Yeah.
And it's not just him, but he was the man, the face of the movement. And you think about everybody else who's nameless, who's faceless, who was right with him, that made him to be propelled so he could be powerful.
Yeah.
Think of what they gave for us. How can we not give something even bigger
That's
to
right.
the next people?
That's right.
If we just take that and grab it for us, we selfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all, if y'all like this, this knowledge that y'all getting, this wisdom, y'all better like this.
Yeah.
Y'all better love
And
this
share.
and share it.
Yeah.
And make sure that y'all sharing the word about what's going on right now. Because
Smith,
we get it.
That's you, Dr. Smith. See how that sound?
Hey, man,
Coming
I
out your
like
mouth.
that sound, man.
Hey, he said if he a doctor, everybody on his block is a doctor. You know what I mean?
right.
So yeah.
Man.
We all ones. I love it. I love it. I mean, Pierre, what you thinking? What you,
I love everything he was saying. In my mind, like you said, I had so many other questions and things that I want to say, but I wanted to directly tie that into part of your article where you said we do not need to reform the criminal justice system, that we need to reimagine and redesign the system from a true paradigm of equality. And the part I like is when you said Lady Justice is not blind. Her inability to be partial to all lives demonstrates the system is egregiously flawed. I mean, I think that just spoke so much volume. You know what I mean? Because it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy that I just want to go back, just take a couple steps back. Because what tied me close to you, Dr. Smith, when I first met you, is because I never felt that I could be in the same room as a doctor or a therapist and he could match my level. He could be parallel to me.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to meet this man who was from the same areas I'm from, the same streets I'm from, but still giving back to his people, not not elevating and not willing to risk it all. And
Right.
say, oh, you know
Right.
what? Well, now I done moved up, so I'm not gonna risk this
Yeah.
to get back to my people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and I just want to throw that back there. That's just
up.
what
That's
really
real
tied
love.
me to, you know what I mean?
That
Yeah,
is, and I
respect.
receive that.
Yeah.
I receive
But
that, King.
yeah, I just wanted to tie that back into the criminal justice system. So what does your true paradigm of equality look like?
Okay, so when we go back, you got to remember when policing first started, and this is even before America, you go back to London, you know, it's always to protect the elite class. It was never about serve and protect the people and
Yeah.
everything like that. So now, where is America birthed from? From London. So when they came and then things was changing, you know, you had people, you had what they call house niggas, you had field niggas, but then you had maroons. These maroons, this is what people say, I ain't a nigga nowhere, I ain't a house nigga, I ain't field, I'm gone, I'm starting my own. So the people say, oh, they got what they used to call drapetomania. That's like when the slave, I hate to use that word, our enslaved ancestors, they was like, they must be crazy. They don't like slavery. What's wrong with them? So if you tried to run away, they would give you a mental illness called drapetomania. So they said, well, what do we got to do? Well, we got to capture them. So we all know that slave catchers what turned into what we consider to be the policing system of today. And so now when you look at this, even when you look at when black people were first allowed to be on the force, they weren't allowed to have guns. They couldn't arrest white people. It was limitations to what they do. It was obviously a glass ceiling where they couldn't get any higher.
Yeah.
But then now when you got police officers in there, what do every black police officer tell you? They say, well, I'm too black for the police. I'm too blue for the community. You know why? Because they get mixed up with their values. My favorite rapper of all time is KRS-One. And he talk about black cops. He said, man, I don't even see how a man can be a black cop. He said, black cop, how can you be a cop? He said, you know why? He said, because your authorization says shoot your nation. And I got a lot of friends who are cops. That's black. And they said, man, I'm going in to change the system. I like, you can't change this. It's inherent. You can go in with good intentions. So I'm not saying it ain't some people who go in and don't make some small changes. Just some people say, hey, I was here, I made this. That could be very true. Yeah. But as an overall difference, guess what happened? You ain't stopped the disproportionate placement of arrests. You ain't stopped the disproportionate placement of criminalization.
Yeah.
So what's going on? You got to abolish this. See, when I write in the paper, when I talk about a paradigm shit, you got to be careful when you do that. Because if you write some things, they ain't going to print it. Yeah. So if I would have been like, no, we got to blow this system up. We got to abolish it. They'd be like, oh, like, can you flavor that language a little bit? So I said, we're not going to defund it. We're going to reform it. We got to remind. But what that means, we got to break it down. We got to start from the beginning. The new Bucks Arena, what's it called?
Pfizer Farm.
What was the old one called? Bradley Center. So everybody who worked in the Bradley Center, when the Bradley Center went down, guess what? They had to reapply for Pfizer. You know what they did? Because if you weren't really doing what you were supposed to do in the Bradley, there was our way to get rid of you. You know, because you got to reapply because we got something new. So what if we did that with the police system? Every way we know it, it's done down. But now, so when we look at America's system, what do we have? We have 3 branches. What's the 3 branches? Judicial, legislative, and executive. Now, what if we created that inside the police department? So now you don't got that blue wall because you got a checks and balances. You got a legislator, people who make the policies, who create it. You got a judicial branch. Those are the people who judge the people. So it should be irrelevant with who you are. Then you got executive. Now you got the people who got the power. But what if when the legislative make it, we reimagine how we have police? What if when you have a police, you do have a mental health therapist along? What if we do got community people who are just there for the community? So if you got police in the school, guess what? It ain't like the police that's out in the thing. This is like what we do. They almost trained as educators too. It's like you got to imagine everything from the beginning up. So every problem that we had, don't take the same officer. And then, so think about this. So I do a lot of work with military veterans. When a person has been deployed like 3 or 4 times, what do we give them? A diagnosis, a PTSD. They've been like, and they done been to Iraq, man, 3 times in the last 12 years.
And at some point, they getting honorably or dishonorably discharged.
And so what we had vets killing themselves at the rate of 22 a day. Then it went down to 20. But now think about this. What is the police but paramilitary? So now I got you out on these streets. When you were 22, you passed a mental health exam. You were strong. You could run a 4.640. You could bench press 225 18 times. Now you're 35. How you looking? How strong are you? How mentally stable are you? Because once you've been on there for 13 years, you telling me you the same police officer, mentally, emotionally? But why isn't it that we have many police officers getting out of the system? They go till they retire. But they not the same mentally, physically, emotionally.
Right.
There's certain stats that says 75% of marriages, first marriages for police officers, fail. Because who gets the brunt? Even for what I do, I have to be careful when I get home. When I get home, sometimes I'm out in the community, I'm doing this, and guess who get the worst of me? They do. Because I'm tired. I can't do this. Or they say, man, I don't want to, and I'm like, okay, I got to take care of this because I can't do it out here if I can't do it here. But think about police officers, what they go through. Because they talk about, man, I done saw this and I did. You don't understand what I've been through. And I'd be like, you absolutely right. And guess what? That's why you don't need to do it forever. But we got these cats serving 25 years. And then you got some people who don't need to be there in the first place. But if we got a new system, how we get you in, guess what? This ain't just like social promotion. Remember in school, they just would graduate you no matter what. They promote you to the next school. Every year, you got to show a level of competency. And you can't. Guess what? You got to go. I know you got a family. I'm sorry. I know you wanted this pension. I'm sorry. But you're not just about to eat off of us for 25 years and not do what you do. So when we say we got to change our paradigm, we got to reimagine this whole thing, we got to start from the beginning. If we don't, it's like putting bad money at the good money at the bad money. It's just going to keep going down the drain. You get small changes, but nothing that's ever substantial. But guess what? The status quo ain't mad with that because it keeps the status quo as it is.
Do you think that's why there was so much pushback or resistance around, the phrase defund the police? Because of how people are
Because what it was is when people say defund the police, who don't want good police in a bad situation? So what they was able to do was to flip a word that we said and then take it for something that it wasn't. So they bastardized it. They flipped it and twisted and told the people, oh, you don't want the police. Oh, you just want anarchy. Said so what people has been saying, how can we change this around? But defund the police was always saying, how can we reinvest these funds in different ways that make it more profitable? But that's what your opponent is always going to do. They're going to try to take what you say and flip it. So when I say defund the police, I'll still say it. But then now I got to have time to explain it. But in the words of 140 characters on Twitter, news flashes, if you got a real powerful name and you just say that, then they're going to cancel you. And you cancel for a while. If you on CNN, they're going to cut you off. If you on CNBC, they're going to cut you off. If you doing something of a big thing, they're going to say, hey, we got to slow you down for a second, put you in your place. Then we'll let you come back after it's hot. But that's what they do. They try to take something that you know is for good, flip it for something, bastardize it, make it look like it's something that it's not. And then everybody is scared of it. So when you touch it, you can't even touch it. So it's not, you can't even bring up the situation. So you just got to change the paradigm, flip the wording and say, but this is what we're going to do. And we've seen places where it worked. We've seen you go to other countries, and this is our problem most of the time. We always looking at like, we got to fix the problem of America within America. You go to different countries, you can see great things that they doing. You say, man, if we could implement this in our system, we ain't even got to reinvent the wheel. But they ain't going to have you do that. They going to have you do what they say, we going to do what we willing to do, and you going to take this. That's why, and the thing, I said, we ask for change, they say no. They give us change, or they give us change that's slow. And if you try to force the change, then they kill you before you can grow. So it's just like, if you don't play their game, they're going to find a way to eliminate you. So either we all have to get eliminated, or we have to bond together until the people who try to eliminate us get eliminated. And that's their system.
You was gonna say something?
No, I was just agreeing.
I was thinking about something that Sedan said. I want him to touch base on it. To Dr. Smith was talking about Smiths.
We family.
Yeah, family. Talking about how you turn tragedy into triumph. So, share with the people, share with Dr. Smith about how you've been able to make that pivot from sharing with people that it's okay to go through your tragedy and still go through your tragedy, but be able to show that there is a shift from that. And that it's okay to still talk about defunding the police and taking the police's power from them and resources from them. So talk a little bit about that too.
My way of looking at it is most definitely similar to yours. I think they the same, one and the same. I feel like, when we do say defund, just like you do, we just reallocate the funds where they're needed in our community. We get enough of us that look like us to say this, and then we make some changes. The thing about me, like when I spark a movement, if you're going to be around me, you're not just going to be around me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm really one of them people that I feel like, my brother was killed for a reason. You know what I'm saying? So when the light shine on me, who's ever next to me is shining too. And you're not going to be next to me unless you footing the movement. You know what I mean? The work that I put in is tiresome work. Yeah. And like you said,
thankless.
Yeah, we have to have each other's back. So when it comes to defunding the police, it's something that's a message we all have to get out there. Messing with the money, like how you said what you said. I my first protest was going against it was actually going against the construction of the Pfizer Forum. I labeled it The Walking Dead. It was around Halloween. It was my first protest ever since the death of my brother, and I knew that they were in the phases of the finalization of the paperwork to sign off on the construction. And it was the biggest project, that this place has ever done with, and it was the budget that came up while we were marching. And I was like, well, I talked to Dr. Howard Fuller at the Tree. I had read his book, No Struggle, No Progress. So I already see I could, I already seen how to galvanize the people, and I seen the way that they draw to me in a positive light versus, a negative light. Normally the negative light is just make me feel bad because of what they can do if they take what I'm feeling the wrong way. So I learned how to control my feelings before the protest. So the people that was actually, in the protest, they engaged in it in every way. We painted our face. We said we all walking dead if we can't stand up against police brutality.
That's right.
And we was ready to do whatever it takes to, make sure they heard us. I went to the budget council meeting and we was deep. Yeah. We want this right now. You either, give us a letter saying that you stand with the people and that, Dominique Hagan Brown deserves to be brought up on charges. And, we want justice. And it was just like, okay. But after that, y'all got to leave, So when I first seen it give in to me the way that it did, I realized I didn't have to be as aggressive. I noticed how things work. The same people who would get down in an aggressive manner was there too, and they was willing to change to make sure I got justice. Whatever little bit it was to make it happen. So once I started seeing it, I started thinking about the tragedy, and I started thinking about why it's like this, and I started thinking about the ending goal to create the triumph. And defunding the police has always been one of the things I've talked about because they receive so much of our budget. It's so many problems in the hood that they themselves, the whole law enforcement system in a whole, does not know about. You know what I mean? The struggles in our communities that create the crimes that they create when they how could you do that? How could you do that? Because you don't know. I don't sympathize with criminals because myself, I do choose to go the right way. But it's a reason for it. So defunding the police to be able to provide mental health. It's so much trauma. This is what's going on right now. It's serious.
Real.
It is serious. You know what I'm saying? We have 7 people dead in 7 days.
Yeah.
Stop playing.
Yeah.
And these are kids.
They're babies, yeah.
So me footing the movement and trying to, transpire just transition other people into, seeing that if you start at our youth, we can put so much more into this than you think. Mm-hmm. Yes, we do all need to change, but sometimes a child can change a man.
Oh yeah.
Let
me bring him up. Hey, come up here, y'all, real quick. Get on the mic. Put that down. Put that stuff down.
Welcome.
Hey, put your mask down. Get on the mic. Y'all get them lambs to lions on the mic real quick.
That one is working too.
Hurry up. Hey, say it like we do it. Give them lambs to lions. Let me hear it real quick.
When they seek to oppress you, and when they try to destroy you, rise and rise again and again, like the phoenix from the ashes, until the lands have become lions, and the rule of darkness is no more.
So you think about what they saying. So tell the lions that become
y'all
lions.
Love for that.
And so when they seek to oppress you, when they try to destroy you, that's so oppressive.
That's right.
And he said you got to rise again. We ain't gonna stop. You might fall and stuff, but we gonna do it. And where we at? We at the phoenix, like the phoenix that rise from the ashes. When the lambs become the lions, and that's to your point. A lion recognize. You know what? A lamb is like a little boy.
Yeah.
Only know how to run through it. A lion say, you know what? It's a time to run through it. But it's also a time for to get the gab. It's a time for me to do this, a time for me to do that. I ain't saying I'm soft and I can't do this, but it's a time to do what I need to do. Mm-hmm. And so to your point, everybody say, Dr. Smith. I always tell you, I said, man, I'm 298082. I said, please don't get it twisted. It's like I had to become a lion from a lamb because where I grew up. Everything I did, I had things coming in my ear both ways. I wanted to be positive, but I'm out in these streets too. Yeah. And it's a point where you say, what am I going to do? Yeah. And the thing for me was being in the courtroom, about to get sent to jail, about to do 18 months, my mama crying. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, man, everything she done did, single mama, trying to put us through school, trying to do everything she can. I said, man, I can't let her down.
Yeah. And
so when you talk about what make it personal for you to do, and all I was saying, I didn't know if they was going to put me down or not. I ended up getting 18 months probation. And in the 18 months probation, I was like, you know what? I'm about to do something with this. And you talk about a lamb becoming a lion. And so now my whole thing is what's the last line of that? What's the last line of that poem? Till the rule of darkness is no more. That's what my life is for. Until I take that out. Either I'm going to take it out or I'm going to go out trying to take it out. And so that's my whole standpoint. So like what you saying, like you said, man, it's something. We was on the same plantation. Our people was together, bro. It's something in that DNA. But for real, it's about how do you evolve, and that was the hardest thing for me because back in growing up, man, if you had your hat like this, you better be able to spit that lit real quick. Yeah. When I grew up, boy, if somebody stepped on your foot, if somebody stepped on your foot, that it was it.
Ultimate sign of disrespect.
It was that. So what I'm saying is, it didn't take nothing. But the biggest thing is when I knew I grew is when somebody looked at me, and when I usually would get, I step back. I'd be like, "What's up, King?" Yeah. And nigga like, "Whoa, what's up, King?" Because we've been taught. That's the divisiveness. We've been taught to go ahead and dog, I'm not your enemy. Like we was playing alphas and Qs and stuff like that. We on the same team. At the end of the day, we all together. So it's like I don't got time to fight my brother. Man, we on the same team. We fight each other. We definitely ain't gonna win. And that's part of the evolution of growth. It ain't saying I ain't still got this warrior up in me because I do. But the warrior is elevated in his thinking. And when you elevate in your thinking, you understand it's a time and a place for everything. And once you put those together, that's when the movement happens. And that's when something special happens.
I say, Dr. Smith, because I respect you, and I respect the fact that you have worked to attain that.
No, see, that's white man thinking right there. Let me tell you why. And when I say that, because I'm Dr. Smith, so my words are somehow so more powerful. No. Man, when I worked this is what I'm saying, but this is what they say in society, though. Because when I worked in the correctional facility, man, half them cats were smarter than me. And I don't mean like kind of smarter than me, like crazy smarter than me. And I was like, this is why our community the way it is. Because all our talent right here. Yep. And so what I started to think is you got to get titles, you got to get degrees for people to see you and establish you there. But that don't make you nothing. Look at the man we just celebrated today. Rest in peace, Malcolm X. This man didn't go to school. He ain't got no degree. But when I listen to his stuff now on YouTube, I still got the dictionary. Like, what you say? What that mean? Like, man, I'm listening to stuff, and I'm like, man, I wish I could be this articulate. I wish I could be this persuasive. Never went to school in a traditional sense, but he studied under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He read the dictionary. I mean, this guy was brilliant. So even like so like terms like that, I'd be like, man, I don't care nothing about these whack titles. It's like, what do that do really? I ain't got to impress nobody, but when I listen to somebody and I hear what they talk and what they say, that's when I know they resonate. And I appreciate the respect with what you say with that. But all of that stuff, that's when people get in that mindset. Oh, I'm a lawyer now. Oh, he's still the same person. And if you need something like that to make you feel good, that's a part of the self-esteem that people attack to
That's
get
right.
you to be able to bring you down, bring your people down.
But my point in that was like, how do you get people to not see that? Because to the point of what Sedan was saying, you know, we connecting from a lot of people who have a lot of criticism about the protests and saying the protesters only this has tunnel vision. It's only geared towards police violence, police brutality, and why are we not addressing, you know, things that are happening in our own community? And so how do we even speak to people, because people who have these different degrees, who are titled, who have leadership, whatever the case may be, how do we speak to the people in the community and let them know that, you know, just as exactly what you're saying, that we can't tear each other down, we can't kill each other, regardless of whatever the situation is. Like, how do we speak in the plain English to that?
Okay. So I got a house. Got 8 windows. You know, 2 on each side. Do it matter which window the burglar get into? Because once I'm in the house, guess what? I can open up every door.
Yeah.
So now if my angle is the police, once I'm in that house and I bring down the system, guess what? Now I can bring down all the other things. And every time when we talk about, we're talking about economic castration. We talk about economic underdevelopment within our company. If we have within our community the ability to have jobs. You think about Milwaukee. Let's go back to Milwaukee. In the 1970s, it was the best place to live as a black man as it related to jobs, because you had A.O. Smith, you had Briggs and Stratton, you had all of these industrial jobs, people flocking from the South to say, hey, we want a better thing for our family. So even though I didn't go to college, guess what? I'm going to be able to put my children through college. And then you saw this great, beautiful thing. But then what happened in the 80s? You started to see industrialization. You see the lockdown of these plants. So now this money that these families are making, they're not making them the same way. But now also you see the influx of drugs. You see criminalization go up. So you say, why do I start with the police? Because how do you take down the family? You criminalize people. Now you take away their ability, because they felons where they can't do anything. That takes away their ability to be unemployed, underemployed. Think about when you work in prison. You make 15 cents an hour, 12 cents an hour. You're making 125. You jail rich. They exploiting these people in here. That's slavery. But what if they brought real jobs into prison and said, you know what? We're going to pay you $15 an hour. We're going to pay you $28 an hour. We're going to pay you $30. And guess what you can do? You can send that money to your family. And guess what? We're going to rebuild our community.
Exactly.
Because that's where all the jobs went.
Exactly.
So now you start to do that. But now what do? They take away your ability not only be there emotionally, but not to be there financially. So when you say to the people, well, why do you say we doing this? We got to get in one way. And once we can destroy you in one way, guess what? It don't matter if the coronavirus get in your nose and your mouth and your ear. Once it's in, it can do everything it wants to the body. So you say, if we coming at the police, because this is something that we can see that's clear. This is something that we can see that's so egregious that nobody can ignore it. And once you got that, guess what happens? Now we can start to deal with the politics. Now we can deal with economic inability. Now we can deal with every other ill that's there. And guess what? You come in. And for the people who say, oh, y'all doing this, you doing that, I say, well, what you doing? How are you helping in that way? Because if we all cracking at different windows and I break in this one, you break in this one, guess what? We can meet in the center and we can destroy this house and rebuild it the way it's supposed to be built. So it's just like this. If people are with me, then you're not going to fight against me. You're going to find a way to help me. You're going to find a way to say, I'm doing this wrong, but let me show you. I'm not just going to say, Tiffany, you're doing this wrong. I'm going to say, come on, let me tell you what you should do.
What you should do. That's right. That's right.
So you know who you're working with. And people reveal themselves by their actions, not just their words.
Pierre, what you thinking?
Deep. Deep. Yeah, it starts with us. I feel like a lot of these conditions are not just because people are affected by them. I believe it's because of where we live.
They created.
If I don't have a job and I can't provide for my family, not only does that take away from my ability as a man, but just my pride, my mental stability. Because I'm thinking, I mean, if I can't take care of my family, I can't take care of myself. What's the point? Yeah. You know what I mean? So now I don't mind robbing you. I don't mind doing this.
Because I don't care, and I got to make it me.
Yeah.
And that's what we say, that liberty is blind. Because when we talk about the drug influx, that what created this whole big boom in the prison population, Now with the opiates, it's stuff that we know. Like
Yeah.
we've heard this and we see it, but now it's a mental health issue. Now we need help. But before, you was putting these people in prison. We look at so I work a lot in sports. So I don't know if you remember, about a couple years ago, it's this big scandal. These rich white families was getting their children in the schools they
Yep.
weren't really qualified in,
The lady
like
who-
getting them in rowing and things of that nature.
From a family.
From Full House,
Full
whatever.
House.
But the thing is how did they get slapped on the wrist? Now you got mothers who will lie about their address to get their children into a better school.
Yeah.
They get slapped with 5 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, when we see a criminal justice system that's so insanely unfair, why not start there? Because this is the big thing. If we can get everybody out, and this is where the think tank is at, this is where the people who are in touch, you go into the prisons, and this is what they say. Oh, man, when Dad come out, he was just giving us them prison lies. He was giving us them prison stories. He was gassing our head up. This is what I'm going to do when I come out, when I do. But think about one of the good things that can happen in prison. You get 3 meals a day. You get counseling. Some places is dangerous, so you got to do there. But specifically in Milwaukee, it ain't as rough. It's like you in California, and sing. So you getting counseling. You get to work out. You getting some things that makes you better. But as soon as you get out, what's waiting for you? You got a PO who want to slap you with some type of thing to put you back in with some type of refraction. You ain't got no job with good money that's waiting for you.
No
You
opportunity.
employed, but you underemployed.
Yeah.
So what you expect to happen? So those promises they was given, that was because they was in good condition. What if we could then bring those conditions out? You look at the prisons in Switzerland. You look at the prisons in Germany. You look at the prisons, some of these other places, you almost think it's a country club. Because prisons was created for 3 reasons. First was to say, hey, you did something wrong. You violated. You got to move. Now, the second was, it was a deterrent. You see what he did? He was wrong. Look what he is. You don't want that. But the third was, we got to reform you, because you know what? You're coming back out. So when we come out, we want you to do right. We want you to be with us. You just can't be foul. And so back in the day, when a person come out, they would say, hey, this person has served their time. He's ready to come back. She's ready to come back into the community. All was forgiven. But now what they do, because now it's been so disproportionately with black and brown and poor white people who would be of the movement, you got a felony. You can never vote. You got a felony. You can't get this loan. You got a felony. You can't live here. All of these different crazy rules that make it like, even when I get out, I'm still in. So you have become a second-class citizen. You have become a de facto kind of nobody within the system that's a ability to make moves. So when you say, why did we start with this? That's why we started, because this is where it's at. But if we could get our prisons, if we could get our correctional, what they supposed to be correctional institutions, to really be corrective, to be helpful, not to be exploitive, we could turn this around. Because then you do give people hope. You do give them pride. You do. This is the thing. Like, you look at any cat from the hood that's a rapper. Soon as they get some money, what they do, they clothes is different, man.
Yeah.
They chain, they pop in where they live is different, because everybody want that, and they don't work hard for it, so they do it. But what if we could give everybody that chance, and it don't got to be in sports or entertainment, where you can say, you know what, I do want to grow up to be a lawyer, because I do want to be Johnny Cochran. I do want to be Thurgood Marshall. You know, like black people who you say make it, but then stay real. But don't nobody want to grow up and then be Clarence Thomas. You know, they don't want to be Candace Owens, where they be like, well, that's what's making it. I don't want to do that. We got to be able to give people realistic chances within life to be able to do good. And when you see that, you will maximize their humanity. If you put people in the worst conditions, you get the worst of them. You put them in great conditions, the likelihood of them being their best self improves exponentially.
Yeah. So, Dr. Smith, we were last, of course, of 2020. We were part of the membership organizations, the groups who were, shout out to all of them who were
Get out the vote.
Get out the vote, that were definitely
Jermaine
working.
Murray, Jasmine, Kim Purdy, all of them.
Wanda
Kim
Montgomery,
Eubanks,
everybody who was working to make sure that, we protected
Veronica Williams. Yeah,
our
he had a
right to
crew.
vote.
He had a crew.
And I just felt like it was so much love, in that circle, and so much love in that group, and how we were, trying to meet people where they are. But also taking those conversations and those demands to the people who needed to hear it. So I think even when we talk about, if it's talking about voting rights protection, or we're talking about criminal justice, like, how do we speak? How do we bring that message when we have those opportunities to talk to, whether it's electeds or other people in positions? How should we bring that message as far as demanding what it is that we want?
Yeah, to your point, what did Howard Fuller say? He always quote, "Power concedes nothing without a demand." But see, what people always do, they don't put the rest of that Frederick Douglass quote on, because he say, hey, we can do it with words, or we can do it with blows, or we can do it with both. So when Malcolm X said by any means necessary, you have to make people, power's not going to give anything else. You got to demand. If you keep asking people, they can say no. I'm putting you in a position where you can't say no. So we have more than enough black elected officials. So now the question is, okay, we put you in there. What if we really had their back? Because most black elected officials who we say, they ain't doing nothing, they ain't doing nothing. They say, people ain't got my back. I say, come here. Ain't nobody here. So what I'm gonna do? Martin Luther King could only be Martin Luther King because at the March on Marching, there's 250,000 people behind him. Now you can go to the president and listen because you got some power. So what we got to do is galvanize that power together. And the people say, well, what are our demands? You look at the Black Panthers; they had a 10-point plan. This is what we want. What are our demands? What do we need to have? And then we say, this is what we're gonna do. And once the people say it without, or what the people say, hey, this is what we're gonna do without a doubt. Things happen. We make things a lot more difficult than what they are. But what people have to do is be willing to be down for the cause. And it has to be people who has something to lose, who's going to join in. The only reason why movements happen is because you got pressure on both sides. See, if I got people that's right here, I could crush them down. I could do this. But then if I got a sect from over here and over here that I thought I had under control, who I thought was our helpers, our mediators, now I don't know what to do. I was like, okay, I got to give you some so I don't lose it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
And like you said, we love it. So if black people just wanted to be like Bolo, man, we could have just said, hey, we're going to blow everything up. If we can't have it, ain't nobody going to have nothing. It's like, you like that cat who can't have that girl as murder, suicide. We could have did that a long time ago. We said, we don't want that. We just want what's ours. So once you put that pressure on people, say, hey, we can take this or you can share it with us. But they ain't never felt the pressure. So guess what they say? Ain't got to do this. I had to sue MPS. I applied to be a school psychologist. They got 2 black men. Now, this was a while ago. So I go in for the job. They didn't hire me. I'm like, how they hire me? I was like, I got stellar letters. I got everything. The lady said, oh, I'm sorry. We only hired 2. And they were both Spanish-speaking people. They needed to be in bilingual schools. So I was like, well, I don't speak Spanish. What can I do? My homegirl called me. She's a school psychologist. She said, I thought you said, I thought you was going to be in this meeting. I said, no, they couldn't hire me. They could only hire 2. She said, there's 7 people here. None of them had a PhD. Now, I used to be a school teacher. The school I came out of referenced from Deborah Bell, principal of the year. So all my stuff is together. 7 white people didn't hire me. Now, it's only 2 black men out of MPS, 153. So I go to the ERD, Equal Rights Division, EEOC. They was like, oh, he got a case. They said, oh, you got a case. I go to MPS. I said, pay me my money. It's like, get out of here. I said, no, pay me my money. I got a case. They said you discriminated. This black man caught me in the hallway. He said, come here, young brother. He said, listen, man, I ain't going to listen to you. You need to go get you a lawyer. He said, get you a lawyer. I promise you. So I go get a lawyer. Guess what? They pay me my money. And so the same thing to your point is this. They not listening to certain things unless we put a pressure on them that they got to respect, that they understand.
Come on here.
And sometimes we can't do it ourselves. So we got to humble ourselves. And that's why I said we got to know who our true allies are. Who are the people who really going to fight for us and help us bring that pressure to bear. And once you do that, that's when the change comes. But we got to humble ourselves. I was like, no, I could do this myself. I'm thinking like, I ain't going to pay no lawyer. I know how to read a law book. I know how to put a thing in. Just give me my money. I want to keep it all. No, I had to go and get the thing. And once I got that, situation resolved itself.
Definitely. Man, you just dropping that knowledge right now, man. I'm telling you, man, normally we tune into our viewers and ask so many questions, but it's like we have our template of questions too. So once we thrown off, it's just like, man, they gotta be loving this. You know, they gotta be getting this. What are some of the ways people can follow you, though, real quick, before we get up out of here? What are some of the ways people can follow you, reach you, support you? Some of your upcoming projects, you know?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So, blacksmith.com, BLAQUESMITH.com. All my stuff is on there, how to get to all my handles and all that right there. But, like, anything I can do for the people, I mean, you know how I get down. If I can do it, I'm going to do it. It's like even when you called me for this, I was like, I can't do it here. But but then when the time was right, I was like, I got some time. Let's make it happen. You was like, hey, I got you. And so it's just like that. So it's like if it's anything I can do, that's what I'm here to do. And so we just make it move like that.
And for the viewers out there, make sure y'all liking and y'all sharing.
Y'all better like this today. I mean, if you ain't like nothing else, you liking and loving this today. The kids that came on here, they done taught us a lesson and a word too. So it's just been full. I'm really glad. I just love everything that Dr. Smith is doing. And want to make sure that y'all keep supporting him and getting that message out. It's good for us to be able to see black men, as a black woman, being able to see black men around me, and being influenced and led by them. That's okay for us to be led. That's the role anyway. For us to be led by black men doing great things in the community. So just appreciate your word.
It's respect.
And thank you for coming on the show.
Man, come on.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
That's what we do.
We want to thank you for coming on the show. We are honored to have you as our guest today.
That's what's up. I got to get one of them sweatshirts I saw though. So
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
going to bless y'all with that too and walk around so I can support y'all.
Y'all
It's
hear
Revolution
that? And
ready.
he finna bless us. He finna walk around being revolution ready because he always ready for this.
So y'all make sure out there, y'all copping the
Stay
merch
ready
as well
so you ain't
now.
got to get ready.
That's right.
That's right.
We're gonna drop that in the comments so they can make sure you said Blacksmith.
Yeah, blacksmith.com.
Blacksmith.com. Y'all make sure y'all go to that.
So y'all liking and sharing, and make sure y'all stay in contact and in support of Dr. Smith. And like he said, whatever it is that he can do, make sure you reach out to him
sure.
as well and give
Yeah.
him a chance to be able to give back to the community.
It ain't hard to find me.
Y'all hear me? It ain't hard to find him.
And if you didn't get an opportunity, read his op-ed. It was May 18th. Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. I'll drop the link of it into the comments. Now, where you guys can read it, and that way you can just have more insight as to what he was saying around just the verdict, and that we have dual Americas here. We have dual things that are going on that's happening between white America and black America. So I wanted to make sure that y'all just stay in tune to what's going on. But I think
that's it.
That is it. And we are Revolution Ready. Make sure you tune in next Wednesday. Lights.
camera.
Black
Action.
One love, y'all.